This is the true story of how a successful man built an empire with his wife, and how a single woman, armed with psychology, not love, not money, not power, took control of his wife, destroyed their marriage, stole the businesses, and tried to erase him from existence. Her name was Patricia. She called herself a psychologist. She claimed to heal. In reality, she infiltrated, manipulated, and conquered. This is how she did it. The perfect partnership. Asif and Laura were not ordinary. They built multiple companies from nothing: housing, social care homes, developments, hotels. They were 50-50 partners in everything. Asif was the architect, the thinker, strategist, builder. Laura was the energy, the face, the drive, the charisma. Together, they were unstoppable. They made millions in turnover. They employed hundreds. They provided homes, care, jobs, stability. To the outside world, they were a power couple. To Asif, it was love and purpose. To Laura, it was validation and identity. But there was a weakness in Laura. A deep need to be needed. A desire for admiration, attention, emotional dependency. And someone saw it. The therapist appears. Patricia entered quietly. Not as competition. Not as threat. But as help. She presented herself as a healer, a spiritual guide, a strong Muslim woman, a supporter of women empowerment, a friend. She told Asif, Laura is narcissistic. You need to protect yourself. She told Laura, you are a victim. No one understands you but me. Step by step, she became the only voice Laura trusted. But Patricia wasn't there to heal. She was there to control. Psychological enslavement. Patricia used classic manipulation tactics. 1. Isolation. She slowly disconnected Laura from her husband, her siblings, her staff. Reality. 2. Dependency. Laura began to say, I am only alive because of Patricia. She believed Patricia was her savior. 3. Rewriting history. Patricia convinced Laura, Asif is controlling you. Your family betrayed you. Only I truly care. 4. Superiority complex. Patricia told Laura, you are special. You are chosen. Everyone else is beneath you. 5. Turning Laura against Asif. Patricia planted the poison. Asif is the reason you suffer. He holds you back. He doesn't value you. The woman Asif loved started seeing him as the enemy. The takeover begins. Once Laura was fully controlled, Patricia moved to phase 2, capture the empire. Step by step, she made Laura emotionally dependent. She became Laura's only advisor. She began influencing every decision in the companies. Laura stopped listening to everyone, except Patricia. Suddenly, Asif was excluded from meetings. Staff were told not to speak to him. His authority was questioned. His decisions were ignored. And then, they started removing him from his own companies. Without warning. Without consent. Without legality. Erasing Asif. Patricia's influence over Laura became absolute. Together, they used companies' house authentication codes, removed Asif as director, transferred control to Laura, and later to the daughter and her husband, took over bank access, blocked Asif from finances, ignored all of his emails, warned staff, if you talk to Asif, you will be suspended. They even cut his salary. They stopped reimbursing his expenses. They made him pay company bills from his personal account. They forced his custom-built software to be shut down so they could build their own system without him. They tried to delete him from the business he created. The parallel empire. Patricia's endgame was brilliant and evil. While destroying the original companies, she and Laura secretly created new companies with the same business model. But this time, controlled only by them. Patricia, psychologist, formed PSYCHOLOGIST Soul and Nature Limited. Jui McNoon, another psychologist close to Laura, formed SM Safe Heaven Limited. Both companies used the same staff, the same offices, the same clients, and even the same building. They were running new companies from Asif's property, while cutting Asif out of the old ones. This is not coincidence. This is calculated takeover. Under Patricia's influence, Laura became something different. She began to lie without guilt, break contracts, refuse to pay landlords, threaten staff, commit financial fraud, blame everyone else, destroy her own reputation, pretend to be a spiritual leader, claim God is on my side. While doing evil, she believed she was unstoppable, because Patricia kept telling her she was. In truth, Laura was not leading. She was being led. She was not a mastermind. She was a puppet. Patricia held the strings. The collapse. Once Asif was fully removed, once Patricia and Laura ran everything, everything began to fall apart. Why? Because Asif was the builder. Asif was the stabilizer. Asif was the one who made the empire function. Without him, companies went into administration. Landlords chased millions in unpaid rent. Software collapsed. Staff left. Bills were ignored. Suppliers threatened legal action. Properties were at risk. The empire started dying from the inside. Patricia didn't care. Laura didn't see it. They were too busy building new companies and taking everything for themselves. The truth. This is not a story of marriage failure. This is not a story of business failure. This is a story of psychological capture. A manipulator, Patricia, found a vulnerable mind, Laura. She fed her lies, dependency, superiority, isolation. She enslaved her, then used her to destroy the one man who built everything, Asif. This is coercive control. This is corporate hijacking. This is emotional and financial abuse. This is psychological warfare. And it worked. Until now. The truth. This is not a story of marriage failure. This is not a story of business failure. This is a story of psychological capture. A manipulator, Patricia, found a vulnerable mind, Laura. She fed her lies, dependency, superiority, isolation. She enslaved her, then used her to destroy the one man who built everything, Asif. This is coercive control. This is corporate hijacking. This is emotional and financial abuse. This is psychological warfare. And it worked. Until now. Why this story must be told? Because this is bigger than one family, bigger than one marriage, bigger than one business. It is a warning. How a psychologist can weaponize the mind of one person to destroy everything. How love can be replaced with manipulation. How an empire can be stolen from the inside, without firing a gun. Asif lost nearly everything, but he still has the truth. And now, he is ready to expose it to the world. This is the story, and this is only the beginning.